Welcome to our impressive agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, April 13th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 424. We have another exciting interview to start the call with. Kelly, you've already been unmuted, but before we get to you, I did want to share two things that came up this week that really brought home some things that brought home some points to me that I think even I forget about. Few days, actually, I think it was on Monday, I got a call from one of our subscribers, and he asked the question, "Hey, I'm getting more surviving spouses lately. How do I handle those?" And the first thing I said to him, "Well, obviously you haven't been on our mastermind calls, right?" he said, "No, I don't seem to be able to make it." Yeah, and I called Bruce, and Bruce said, "Yeah, well, we'll do a coaching call with him and Chuck and I." And then it occurred to me, and wait a minute, we probably already have a way to help him existing that I kind of forgot about. So I went to our website, not signed in as admin, not signed in as a customer. I just went to alltheleads.com and I put in surviving spouse. A half a page summary came up of how to handle it, and 28 video clips of times that we talked about it over the years. And what was really nice is you'll have to go back and listen to them all, but the most recent ones were on top. So that just brought home the point to me that I forget we had that. I think a lot of you might not be aware of it. If you have a question, you have an issue, you don't have to wait till the next call. And just for fun, I put in surviving, and the same stuff came up. Then I put in spouse, and the same stuff came up. So that was kind of a reminder to me that we don't, even the owners and the coaches forget sometimes the tools we have. Also, I was impressed that we seem to work better than Google. You can put in any of three words and all the content came up. So wanted to remind you guys of that. Something else happened yesterday that brought home another point. I got a lead from any of you that have been on the calls know that we've got a relationship now with a loan modification foreclosure defense company. And they've been sending us the people that they can't help. And I've been assigning them to you guys. We now have over 100 leads that we've assigned to you guys. Well, we got one yesterday in Arkansas. And I checked the county. I checked all the surrounding counties. We didn't have anybody, never had anybody there. So I reached out to Mr. Arkansas, Roger Lacey. And I got a kick out of it. Roger said, "Well, that's 2.5 hours away from me, but in terms of Arkansas, that's not very far. I'll take it." So I said, "Well, Roger, there's something I didn't tell you. She's got a sale in 12 days. And he said, "Oh, that's okay. My attorney can stop the sale in that time." I said, "Well, one other thing, she doesn't have any money to pay an attorney." He said, "Oh, that's okay. I've given my attorney so much business. He'll stop the sale. He'll collect at the closing." And honestly, that just brought home to me a point that we've made many times, that not only you need your team of vendors, but you need those for sure. But any of your vendors that you can get to wait to get paid, wow, does that distinguish you from anybody else in your market? I mean, honestly, when I got this lead, I figured there was 99.5% chance I wouldn't be able to help her. And the fact that Roger had an existing relationship with an attorney that would do that, turned it. And this lady was hysterical. She was crying. She had nowhere to go. So I felt like I did him a good deed for the day. And I just brought home to me that be like Roger and have these affiliates, have these people, if you can, try to find ones. It's not crucial, but it does really distinguish you from anyone else if you have somebody that will wait to get paid. All right. So let's get to, Bruce, let me just tease Kelly just a little bit, and then I'll let you announce, how we reach everybody. Last week we had an older gentleman from Delaware that has been with us for over 7 years. This week we have a much younger lady from Virginia who's been with us for 4 months, and it's astounding to me how much they have in common. So, Bruce, you want to go ahead and tell everybody how to raise their hands, and then we'll go to Kelly.
Yep. So before I give our little commercial and go to Kelly, I want to piggyback on what Jim was just sharing. Guys, it's really important that not only you have your vendors, but you work with those vendors, you support their business as much as possible. when you run into tricky transactions and tricky situations like we just had in Arkansas, you're gonna want those vendors that owe you one. Okay. And I'm not advocating that every time you do something good for someone, you say, you owe me now. But what I'm advocating for is that you guys build solid relationships, that you don't spread things out 1,000 different directions. One, and I know I'm going to have some people that disagree here, and if you guys disagree, that's totally fine. My way is a way, it's not the way. But I used to refer one lender, one attorney, one accountant, okay? I'm not the type of person that says, hey, you have to refer 3 people. And if you guys are, that's totally fine. But I refer one person because if I trust the person that I refer, then I know my clients are going to be in good hands. I know my friends are going to be in good hands. And I know that that one person that I bring business to is going to do everything in their power to support my business. So I want everyone to just kind of keep that in mind. If you are a hub for your connections, a hub for anyone that you do business with, where you can handle anything, you've got an attorney that can do something without taking payment till closing. You have other vendors that don't take payment right away. If you are supporting their business, they will support you, and they'll bend over backwards when your client needs something special. So I just wanted to plug that. Now, let me move into a bit of a quick ATL commercial. I know that there's some new faces here. I know there's some of you that have been on here many times. For those of you that are new or watching or listening to this after the fact, this is the All the Leads Mastermind. We do it every single Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. If you want to plug in and learn how to grow your business, work the probate niche, if you want to ask transaction questions, if you are running into an objection that you can't get over, talk about mail. We don't really care as long as it's real estate related. And ideally with a bit of a probate angle, we want to hear from you guys, agents, investors, estate sale companies, whatever you are. We want to hear from you all. This call is live on Zoom for you guys. If you're watching via live stream, which would be on YouTube or Facebook, we want you to chat your questions in. We will answer those live here on the call if at all possible. If you have a question, and I see Joel has his hand up, and Joel will call on you in a bit after Kelly goes for a minute. If you have a question, put your hand up. If you're here live with us, go to the reactions button at the bottom of the page and click raise your hand. Don't click clap. I've had a few people that have clapped at us and thought that, and then wondered why we weren't calling on them. So you've got to raise your hand and not clap at us. We'll call on you. We'll answer your questions. We also want to hear success stories. And I know we've got some really good success stories coming up in just a quick second from Kelly. So chat in questions if you're here live. Raise your hand. Or chat in questions if you're watching on live stream, YouTube or Facebook. Raise your hand if you're here. We will answer your questions. Just in case we can't get to everyone, we'll be answering those via video format if we don't call on you today. We try to make sure that we call on everyone. So it's good to see all of you that have been here many, many times. Good to see familiar faces. I'm excited to talk to Kelly today. Without further ado, let me go ahead to Kelly, and why don't you tell us here for a minute? And Jim, I know you're going to have some questions too. Tell us about your experience so far. I know you're not a long time probate agent. You're seeing some success.
Not at all. We started this in December, and like any good agent, I let it sit there and did absolutely nothing with it for the first 45 days, right? So finally we had a call. Bruce and I had a call, and I was like, all right, I'm paying for this. What do I do with it? And of course, she gave me a couple of pointers that day, and so far we have closed 2. We have 6 signed listings, and I'm actually going on Saturday to get 5 more signed. Yes. And that's been since the middle of January, right? Like we started in December, but did nothing. And so since middle of January, we've got a lot of business off of all the leads and just really just plug into the system. I like something that I don't have to think. I like something I can just completely rip off and duplicate, plug and play kind of thing. And that's all I've done is just do the same things you're telling us to do. And it's worked well for us.
Mm-hmm. So two closed,
Yes.
6 listed,
Yes.
and 5 appointments Saturday.
Yes.
All right. So you must take to heart time blocking. Is that
I do. Yes. I run a team. So I have a pretty large team. Last year we closed over 200 deals. So I have to time block, and plus I'm a mom of 3, right? So I have to, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. And so yes, we have to time block.
awesome? Awesome. So where did you start seeing your success? Was it right away when you started picking the phone up, sending letters out? Was it immediate, or did you have to kind of fill a pipeline up a little bit?
I had to fill the pipeline up, but actually, I would tell you 80% of my appointments have been just from mailers. It's not from picking up the phone, it's from mailing. And that's been 80% of my appointments, to the point that this week I've been back on the phone and like upping our mailing to month 4, 5, and 6, right? Because like anyone else, I'm like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money not knowing if it's going to work. So I only did like the first 3 months. And so because we've had so much success, we're adding months 4, 5, and 6 onto the mailers as well.
Amazing.
And Kelly, I noticed that you're in 3 counties. So at first I thought, oh, okay, for 3 counties. But then I also noticed in those 3 counties, you're getting less than 100 leads total.
Yeah.
So it's not Los Angeles or Miami where you're getting 500 leads a month.
Right.
It looks like you're averaging about 90.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
Hey, Bruce, you didn't get the memo. You remember the memo you were telling me?
I remember the memo. So here's the memo. All right. You're in kind of the Chesapeake area. I'm not going to name the counties, but the kind of Hampton Roads, Chesapeake area, correct?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. And we've had and have people that are in that general area of Virginia, and have had people that I've talked with and I've coached, and they have left, and they've said, hey, you know what? Probate just doesn't work here. And I've had that happen a handful of times. And normally when I drill in on it, I find out that it's someone that hasn't done a whole lot to either take any action at all. A lot of times that's it. Or they've taken some action, but they need to tweak and adjust their approach a bit. And so obviously you did not get the memo that probate really doesn't work in the Hampton Roads area. And now that I'm telling you, I'm sure you're going to quit right away.
Absolutely. It's like I tell my agents, right? And I am a real estate coach as well. So I coach for people all throughout the US. But systems don't work and leads don't work unless you work the systems and the leads, right? You can pay for something all day long, but if you're setting it in your CRM and not touching it, of course it's not going to work.
Yep, exactly. And that's what happens with so many people is they either never get started. They're in this business, there are starters and there are non-starters. And I hope everyone here is a starter, or at least can turn yourself into a starter. But there are starters and then there are non-starters. And then there are some people that start and just don't follow through for more than a couple of months. They get a few deals and then they slow down a little bit. When did you start a team? I'm kind of curious about that.
I've had my team for about 2.5 years now.
Yep. Okay. And you most likely started a team so that you could scale, correct?
Correct. I got really busy really quick, and I went to one of my clients, and I was like, you're getting ready to get out of the military, go get your real estate license. If you can deal with the military, you can deal with real estate, right? And he's like, you're crazy, but okay, we'll do this. And so he was one of my first team members. He's still with me to this day. And then it's all because I had too much business, right? It was back when the market was picking up, had way too much business, couldn't work a ball. So the team was the next best option for me. So I could keep those leads and keep growing and keep scaling.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Coach Chuck, Jim, Tim, do you guys have any questions for Kelly? I know we've got some hands up, and I'm sure some of those are for Kelly. So if you can stay unmuted, Kelly, because we'll probably keep you for a little bit today.
So Kelly, congratulations, by the way. The question I have is specifically, what was that first letter that you sent out? Was it anything that you came up with custom, or was it straight out of the templates that we have modified to your specific business, or which is the one? I know everybody on this call is sitting there saying, what's the letter? What's the magic letter?
So it's actually one that you guys had in templates. I don't do anything that I have to think about. Like if I can't plug and play, I'm not doing it. I don't have time. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So I am a big believer of rip off and duplicate. It's what I do. It's what I teach other agents to do. So it's just a letter that says we have resources, right? You need property management, we have resources. You need an electrician, you need a painter. It's just that very first letter that we send out saying, hey, we're here to help. What do you need help with?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then what do you do? What do you do after that? What are your mailers after that? Same.
It's the one that says we're here to help. We can help you. And then there's the second one that says something along the lines of, hey, we reached out to you a few weeks ago. We're just following up on that one. And then the third letter is about, do you have real estate that you need sold?
Mm-hmm.
So it's everything that comes straight from your templates.
Yep. Guys, I want you all to pay close attention to something that Kelly just said, and what she said a few minutes ago is she said that now that they've gotten some traction, and she's going on 5 listing appointments Saturday. Now that that's happening, she's upping the letters. And I want everyone here to know that when you start, whether you're brand new with all the leads, you're coming back, or you've been with us for a little while, you just haven't put your systems in place yet. When you start, there is absolutely nothing that says that your campaign on day 1 has to be the way that your campaign looks 6 or 12 months later. As a matter of fact, one of the mistakes that I see a lot of people make is they say, hey, I want to do 12 months of mail. I want to make 2 hours of calls, and I can't write all my letters. I can't plan my 12 months. I can't put my website in place. I can't start my calls all at once, all in the same week. And so therefore, I'm not going to do anything. It's okay to start with 3 autopilot mail touches. It's okay. As long as you guys go in and you make those adjustments and you add as you need to, it's perfectly fine to start smaller and then begin to expand, especially if some of you are a little short on time, like Kelly just mentioned that she was. Pick 3 letters. Next thing, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, throw a postcard into the mix. Maybe throw another letter into the mix. Pick your mail or pick your website up a couple of weeks later. It's okay to pull pieces in and space your launch out over the course of a month or 2. In Kelly's case, 4 months. So really great job. I love hearing these stories. Now, one question that we just had that came in, Kelly, do you do all of your own listing appointments, or do you have listing agents that spread those out too?
I do have listing agents, and I will give them the appointments if I'm too busy, but listings are my bread and butter. It's what I've always been good at, so I go on them myself. And especially when we're adding a new lead source in, right? I don't know what to teach my agents until I go to know what to expect. So in that case, especially for the first few ones, I went on them by myself so I could figure out the best way to handle that type of client.
Yep. I love it. And guys, same thing in my business is I always wanted to know what I could teach agents. So I would typically go on those appointments myself. It's a different kind of listing appointment. It's not wildly different, but you're definitely needing to look for additional things that you can do for them. So often when we lead with a turnkey or a concierge type of service, people a lot of times don't always know what that means. And so many times they don't call and say, I need an estate sale company. I need a property clean out. They may not know that that's something that they need until you're in the appointment. So the slight difference on these listing appointments versus some of your others is you need to be looking for things that you can take off of their plate, because otherwise they'll get stuck in the process somewhere. I've heard many times people on listing appointments, especially probate, where they've said, hey, I want to list with you. I need to get the house cleaned out first. Or, hey, I need to have an estate sale first. Or I need to talk to an attorney first. And this is after I've met with them. And it's really valuable to be able to say, why don't I just do that for you? So slight difference in the listing appointment. And I want to hear from Kelly. Is that something that you've found to be similar in your business? Is a little bit of a different appointment?
Correct. It's slightly different. But I've always taught you come from contribution, they'll come back to you tenfold, right? So it's slightly different, but being able to give that list of, hey, these are the people that we recommend in our area. Here's who to call. Keep in mind, we have 16 military bases where we live. So a lot of times people's families don't exactly live here. So we got people coming in from out of the area, out of state, trying to figure out what to do, and they don't know anyone. So it absolutely the same. Come from contribution, be able to willing to give and help them out, and you'll have a client for life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey, Bruce, we have 4 hands up. But one last question, Kelly. I didn't hear you mention. What was your experience? Did you have experience with probate before you started getting our leads? Had you done them before?
Nothing. The market started shifting, and I was like, we need to figure out something else, right? To be able to have more money coming in. So I was like, let's try probate. And I was tapped into you guys by a different company that I'm with as well. And this is how it started, because I was like, market shifting, we got to do something a little different.
Awesome.
Good for you.
One more thing. How many times did you get called an ambulance chaser with people that were calling in off of the letters?
Absolutely none. The worst phone call we got is some lady was coming to us looking for monthly income. And I was like, can't help you. Go get your real estate license. That's all I got for you. But that was the worst letter I got.
You just heard it, guys. Nobody called them, Kelly or her team, an ambulance chaser. Does it rarely but occasionally happen? Sure. But you're going to hear Kelly at this point doing the math. 13, thank you, come help me out, to 0, you're an ambulance chaser. I can't believe you're doing this, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Amazing. All right. Let's go to some of the questions. Kelly, hang out a little bit. I don't know which of these questions are going to be for you. I'm sure that there are some, but we'll go to Joel here first. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Joel. What do you got for us today?
I have some general questions, and I also do I have one for you, Kelly? I may have, but I think it may have been answered. A general question is I keep hearing that the return is about 1.5 to 3%. Is that dealing with for the probate leads or the pre-probate leads?
Oh man, that's a really tough question. Pre-probate depends on the area a lot.
Okay.
I believe that that's probate leads. So pre-probate leads could theoretically, with the right system, and that this is theoretical, with the right system, could be higher, less competition. You're definitely looking at data that's a little less accurate than with probate, though. But there is less competition in pre-probate, so you're losing some accuracy in the data, but you're gaining the fact that you're kind of in a blue ocean and the only person that's potentially marketing and prospecting those. But the 1.5 to 3.5%, that is probate. My experience with probate and with coaching people around the country in probate, and it can be higher. If you're doing the activity, it can be higher. It sounds to me like Kelly's conversion rate is significantly higher than that, and I want everyone to recognize that.
Oh, it definitely is. Okay. When you're making your calls, are you just calling the PRs, or are you calling everybody? Because you guys give me a whole list, and some of the people on the list, like a cousin from Altoona or something crazy like that. Do we focus just on the PRs?
Well, for that, I have my answer, and I want to hear, Kelly. I know 80% of your mail, your business is coming from mail, but I'd like to hear from one of our subscribers and Kelly and find out who she focuses on when you make calls.
We call everyone.
Okay.
If I have a phone number, I'm calling it.
Yep. Okay.
All
right. Let me give you my slightly more nuanced perspective, depending on whether you have a team, depending on how much bandwidth you have. If I am the only person that is making the calls and I'm busy, I will call the PR first. So I will do one round of call where I'm only calling the PR, because I want to get through that list as fast as possible and at least have a chance really quickly to talk to as many decision makers as I can. A few days later, I'll go through that list again and start with the PR. If the PR doesn't answer now for the second time, I'm going to call everyone else on that list. And then every future round of calls that I make, I'm going to call everyone until I've talked to someone in that family. If the crazy cousin from Altoona answers the phone, I might say, hey, I was looking for Mary, but this doesn't sound like Mary. Okay. It's even better when it's a guy's voice. No, this is Tom. Tom, obviously I got the wrong number. Forgive me. Are you by any chance related to Mary Smith? Okay. And then go on. Okay, good. I'm not sure if this is relevant for you. Could I tell you what I was calling her for? And maybe you can tell me what to do. And then you're right into your conversation. All right. But me, Kelly calls everyone right out of the gate. If you have a team, probably do that. If you're a little tight on your time, you might try that very first round of calls, calling the PR to get through it, and then add everyone else in the second time.
But your objective is absolutely to speak with the personal representative. I mean, they have the legal appointment to act as if they are the owner of record and have the signature authority by the courts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
I have one last question. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm taking up so much time. How many people do you find using an auto dialer helpful in this? I'm having a hard time incorporating it.
Let me tell you guys the challenge with auto dialers. Auto dialers run through a large number of calls. So you need to switch phone numbers that you're calling from very frequently. So if you are calling more consistently, more than 40 or 50 dials in a day, and you've done that 3 or 4 days in a row, you have a very high likelihood of the carriers flagging you as a spammer. So with auto dialers that might dial 100, 150 dials in an hour, then you need to switch numbers every 20, 30 minutes. Okay. Another problem with potential problem with auto dialers, and they're not all like this, is you have that little latency when we've all picked the phone up and we've said hello, 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 and then we hear that little bubble pop sound, and we hear someone come on, and it's just clear as day that they're waiting. The dialer just hasn't connected the two calls. So for that reason, I like to go with a single line dialer if I'm going to go with the power dialer at all. Just to avoid or help cut out some of the latency. But personally, when I'm calling the ATL leads, I'm calling off of a click-to-call dialer called AirCall. There's a few similar platforms, so you guys might Google AirCall. You might go to Line 2, LINE, and the number 2. That's not a click-to-call. That's a voice over IP app, and it keeps your personal number protected from getting flagged as spam. And then if you could also look up AirCall comparable companies. I know there's a few of them out there. They're just an extension that goes on your browser, and it turns all the numbers on the ATL webpage into a clickable link and lets you kind of stay in the system while dialing.
Yep. Bruce, I call that the telemarketer pause. We want to stay away from that. So if Mojo or Vulcan 7, whatever you're using, avoids that pause in connection, make sure you test it first, because you don't want to lose that. You don't want to have that latency or the pause before it connects the two calls.
Let me also point out to Bruce's point about the problem with that phone number getting flagged out. What's happened in the last literally 2 months is that all of the major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all of them have gotten to the point now where we are, because we have the same problem. I mean, we're on the phones constantly with the things that we do with our company, and we found that a lot of our outbound dials, just calling our customers back for things they asked us for, we were starting to get our lines flagged out as spam. So the TCPA laws and the carriers have kind of gotten together. Now you're having to register the phone numbers that you want. You've got to go through a process to do that. We're doing that literally right now. It's about a 2-week process to get a number or multiple numbers cleared so that they don't get flagged out and, they don't go in the trash can. The problem with it is if you ever do that and if you haven't gotten it registered, you don't go through the process and it gets flagged out, then you got to go through another elaborate process and know who to call to get it unflagged. And you could trash your main business number by doing that if you're not careful. So never, ever use your primary number, your cell phone or your business number. Don't use that for your outbound dial. That's a good way to make that number not very useful for you going forward.
Yeah, you want something that you can swap out if you're not using your primary number. You want something that you can swap out pretty easily. So, for example, and a lot of you guys aren't going to use AirCall that I like to use. Many of you won't do that. They have a 3-seat minimum, but there are other comparable companies that are click-to-call plugins or click-to-call extensions. If you Google those two things, you'll find them, or comparable to AirCall. And the beautiful thing with that is if a number gets flagged, we just replace it for $5 a month. Okay, so we'll get rid of one, we'll pull another one in. Normally I'll get 2 or 3 numbers for my area and make calls, and I'll just switch every 30 to 60 minutes doing that. It's a little bit slower. You're going to make about 30 calls in an hour versus 50 to 60 if you're using a single line power dialer.
Hey, Bruce, the only thing that one of the problems that all of the people are running into now, whether it's AirCall or anybody else, they're even though it sounds like there'd probably be an unlimited amount of numbers that are out there, unfortunately, there's cost to everything. And what's happening now is that particularly the voice over IP providers, they're running into, we'll give you a different number, but it's a number that somebody else used. And so it's already on somebody's, naughty list, and you're getting another number, but it isn't necessarily going to help you. So there's just a lot of stuff going on about this that you have to be careful with. And I would urge you to have the ability to, if you get another number, make sure that you've got somebody who's not directly connected to you, who won't see that as anything other than here comes a phone call, and make sure that it doesn't show up as spam on their phone when you call them using that number. If it does, go back to your carrier, go back to whoever providing you that number and say, this is not a good number. Give me another one. Give me something that'll work, something that's clean, that's not going to get flagged out as spam. And their job is to give you a clean phone number if you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Perfect. Okay, Joel, you good? Anything else?
Good for now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, perfect. All right, I want to go to Dave. Before I ask you to unmute yourself, I'm going to ask one question. I want Kendra to know that I will answer your question here live in a couple of minutes. I think, Alan, you're good. Cindy, you're good. Joe, I'm going to answer your question right now. Kendra, here in a few minutes, and then I'm going to call on Dave right after I answer Joe's question. So Joe asked, what's the average cost of a direct mail campaign for 100 probate leads every month? Okay. Now let's take Kelly's example, who you're somewhere in the 100 vicinity. So if you were on autopilot with all the leads, so you pick 3 mailers that are going to go out a month apart over 3 months, and you go on autopilot, those letters are at $1.45 each. So every new round of leads, you know that you're going to spend about $450 if you scrub no one out of your campaign. Now, the truth is, you're going to scrub some people out of your campaign. You're going to talk to people that tell you that there's no real estate. You're going to talk to people that say that they're already sold. You're going to talk to people and go on appointments, and there's no point in introducing yourself with an auto campaign to those people. So the reality is, if you're doing a good job scrubbing your list down, you will not spend $450 on that list over the next 3 months. But that's what I would budget. I would budget about $450 on 100 leads. And then as you get some success, or if you want to start a little bigger, you might go to 5 mailers or 6 or 7 or 8. So you could spend a good amount of money on mail. And it really does work. But at minimum, let's start with 3 and kind of plan on maybe $400 to $450 on that list of 100. And you won't spend that much. You're going to end up scrubbing more out than just a few. Okay.
So go ahead.
You do the
you need to point out that we do everything that we can to try to help keep the costs under control. And we do offer some volume-based pricing and prepaid pricing and things like that. So if you're getting going, make sure that you kind of look at what your future looks like, talk with your marketing implementation specialist, and let them help you come up with a custom program that will get you the most bang for your buck. That's what they're here for. They're here to help you. They're here to help you get the letters together and all of that so that it goes out, accomplishes what you need, and you're not taking your time. Just like, Kelly put it best. You need to be using something you basically can rip off, go get it done, and you're doing exactly what she's doing. You're talking to motivated sellers and dealing with that. That's really where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. I want two other things here, Dave, and I'll ask you to unmute yourself, but I'm going to make two other points on mail. For those of you that are doing a la carte mailers, so you get a list of leads in, you say, hey, I want to send one letter. The cost there for those is $1.65. So there's a huge discount if you guys put 3 or more mailers on autopilot. So $1.45 versus $1.65. The other big thing is we know that the average family or personal representative typically starts actually making steps to sell a house somewhere between month 4 and month 6, sometimes even up to 7 or 8 big urban markets. And so one of the last things you want to do is put a 1, 2, 3 touch mailing campaign together and quit mailing someone 3 months before they're likely to make that decision. So 3 is kind of that minimum that I'm going to recommend for those of you that are doing mailers. If you want to start there and then add later, that's fine, as I'd mentioned earlier. But it's really important that you guys know that you don't want to start and not continue to be in front of someone with your marketing through that time where they're likely to sell. So like Kelly right now is adding some mailers into her process. And that's because there's still a lot of leads that haven't connected with her yet, right? We're assuming at least. Yes,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that just haven't gotten to that stage of the marketing pipeline. And so she knows that she needs, but now she has revenue to be able to add those extra mailers in. So if you guys are going to do mail, if you're brand new, maybe start with 3 or 4, get some business under your belt, make your calls, go on some appointments, fill your pipeline up, and then add a few extras in. All right, Dave, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, Bruce? How are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, wanted to chime in here. I came across a Canadian guy who is going through probate. His wife passed away, holds property down here in the States, and was wondering if there's a general, if anyone has experience with this. I believe if it's in her personal name, because the way it transferred to her and her brother and sister was from a relative, it looks like, who was a Canadian citizen. And it went through probate in Canada first to then, I guess, have an ancillary type of probate here in order to act on behalf of the estate with the house. So I was just wondering if you have any experience with that. Happen into a Canadian group that I want to be your go-to for all their probate questions. So any insight on that?
Chuck, Jim, Tim, have you guys
Will?
any of that?
Is there a will?
There is a will. Yep.
And who's named as who gets the house?
The husband who I'm talking with.
Okay. So
It's tenants in common too. There's 3 of them on the deed currently.
and is he planning to sell it?
I hope so. He hasn't gotten that far. I think it's going to need a lot more work than he's anticipating. And he lives in Toronto area. So, and the others live in New York. So I hope so. Yeah.
So that's probably why it has to go through probate in the States, because the others live in okay, so tenants in common, he's receiving 1/3 interest in the house. Okay, got it. Went through probate. Do you have a good probate attorney that you've taken this to yet?
Not yet. I was going to do that this afternoon.
Go to the person that you want the most business from, that you want their business the most. Take it to them. and use this as an opportunity to forge a relationship with the attorney. I'm surprised if it went through probate in Canada that
No, he's asking me questions about what he needs to do next.
yeah,
So I'm trying to help guide him through that, and just wondering if anyone else has had that experience. But I think that's the process that looks like it's going to have to go through.
if anybody else has, put a chat into either the live stream or here in Zoom, and we will pull you in to help answer that question. I have not gone through that, but I think that the easiest answer to give him is, hey, I've got this attorney already lined up for you, free consultation. Let's meet him on Zoom next Tuesday at 4:00. Are you free? Okay, so go ahead and put the relationship connection in place, even if you don't know what to do yet.
Yeah. And I told him to reach out to his attorney there in Canada as well.
I would probably ask permission for you to reach out to his attorney in Canada, because people do that all the time. You never know when you say, hey, reach out to your attorney, you never know when that attorney says, why are you talking to Dave? I've got someone that you need to go to. So I'd rather get permission for you personally to make that call to his attorney.
Okay.
So I want you being as involved as you possibly can here, without just blindly turning over conversations to people that you don't have a rock solid relationship with yet.
Sure.
And you may want to add value to that call by, if it's possible to do it, you may want to get also permission to, put the two attorneys together if you want to put your guy together with the one up there. But just a quick question: has it already gone through probate up in Canada or not?
No, it has not. I just looked at the previous deed, and the way the previous deed transferred to the three heirs from the parent who passed away 2009 timeline. It specifically states that there was a personal representative appointed in the Canada courts, Ontario courts, who then became the personal representative in Adams County courts to then dispose of the property or distribute the property to the heirs.
Okay. So it's the same PR in Canada?
Well, that was just a previous, it was the same one that signed the local county deed that got recorded that was named as the PR up in Canada, and two different file numbers and all that. So,
okay.
Tim, Alan Donald has dealt with a situation like this. Alan, I don't know if you're in a place where you can unmute yourself, but if you are, let me.
I am.
Yeah, there you go. What do you do, Alan?
So I have a situation that is similar at this moment. My clients live here, but the personal representative is in Toronto. And what happens is, at least in South Carolina, you have to probate where the property is. So they had to come in and open the probate here. I connected them with a probate attorney here. And the main difficulty that she found is being able to open a bank account in her name to be able to do the estate here. They made her run around in circles, and it took her a while to be able to open an account, and she had to get a tax ID or whatever, but it had to be probated here in South Carolina.
Got it.
That helps.
was the will a U.S. will, or was it a Canadian will?
It was a Canadian will. Well, it was an old will that the South Carolina court accepted here. So that wasn't the problem. The problem was more the logistics, because they had to probate it here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. Make sure that you stay heavily involved in any conversation with an attorney. I would go ahead and find the attorney that you're craving their business the most. Pass that referral along. Ask if they're willing to do a short consultation to tell them what needs to happen with the likelihood that they're going to get the business, and then try to be on that call with them if the attorney will allow. But I would try to be on the call with them. And if any coaches have any different advice than that, that's good. But it is very doable. All All right, we have a bunch of other hands up. I want to try to get to everyone. We've got some other questions that have been chatted in. We're going to try to move relatively quickly, but my buddy Courtney, right here in my area, is on with his hand up. Let me go to you, Courtney, then I'm going to answer a couple of the chatted questions, then Douglas, then David. And Kelly, if you can stick with us. I know how busy you can get, though. Courtney, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Bruce and everyone, Chuck and Tim and everyone, Jim and everyone. I hate that I've been missing the calls. These are awesome. I've listened to all of them, man. It's awesome that you're in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man.
Yeah.
Got to get on the mat, Bruce. I'm a brown belt. Been doing it for a while. So.
You're going to kill me.
Nah, it's great, man. I've done a couple MMA matches too, but I don't like getting punched in the face. But yeah, check out Courtney Rollins, BJJ, if you want to see some old seeing people punch me in the face. But I'll be real quick because I know a lot of people have some thoughts and questions. But I did just want to share one story that I think kind of just encourages folks to implement the strategies you all suggest, and also talk about how well the two things work together. So today, I think I left the post, but today I'm at the probate office helping a client. And I walk out and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the probate specialist. I see your videos." And so, one, putting out marketing through education. The way I'm learning probate is the stuff that I'm sharing. Like you see here, I'll do a quick little video explaining something. I'm just turning a shoot. The production is terrible. I'll put it on my own YouTube channel for the SEO. So now that also coupled with going to the courthouse so much it was so cool to see it actually come together today. And someone was like, "Oh, you're the probate specialist." I'm like, "Where?" And so they got me information, picked up 3 more leads today, just walking out of the courthouse. It was just, it was just awesome. So those are 2 things I wanted to share. And one other thing, the gentleman, I just got a contract last week with the gentleman who I bought his mom's house or signed his mom's house a month ago. And he says that's the gentleman who had the stack of papers of public people marketing. Anyways, he said that people are asking like $200K for the property. I'm like, "Well, Mr. Lowry, I cannot pay that at all." He's like, "Well, it's not always about price, Courtney, because you've been working with me, you helped me." And that's the essence of the story. So I got it locked up for $175. And then when I started shopping around to a few buyers, I'm new to the market, they're like, "Well, that's a little too high." And so I had to go back to Mr. Lowry and say, "Hey, can I get it reduced?" And I got it reduced by $20K. Then come to find out just now, or about an hour ago, 2 buyers said they're extremely interested. They bought the properties next door. Those were the people I was trying to find. They finally contacted me. So I may still be able to sell it for the full asking price. And if I do that, I'm going to go back and put the money back on. I would love to make a large spread, but I just think it would be only right to give Mr. Lowry back the funds since I won't need it. But I'm waiting to have everything locked up, contracts, escrow, and everything before I make those type of decisions. But anyway, I just want to thank y'all, and glad that the space exists, and it's fun growing with you guys.
Court, good man.
Yep. I love seeing doers, guys. Doers. Don't be a bystander. Don't just simply show up here and listen and watch over and over again. Go practice some things, even if you're not perfect at it. We love seeing people that implement. And again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can implement. Our system sometimes is not the perfect system for every single lead that goes out, but I'll tell you, it's good for a bulk of your leads. So you guys don't feel like you have to reinvent things.
Yep, learn by doing.
Yep, exactly. And don't be afraid to make adjustments. Don't be afraid for a little bit of failure. If something isn't working, that's okay. It's the best way to evolve your business is to experience some pressure and some doing some things that are wrong. You don't make any mistakes, you don't grow. All right.
Best path to success.
Exactly. Good. So just to clarify here real quick, Arrington was asking a clarifying question. He said, so approximately for 100 leads, the mailing budget is going to be about $450. And yes, that is by and large true if you do not scrub any leads out over time. If you never have a single conversation, you never make any calls, all you do is put your mail on autopilot without doing anything else that we teach you, it'll cost about $450 if you have 3 touches on autopilot. But the truth is, guys, if you're doing the system and you're doing the other things that we're telling you to do, you will scrub your leads down. Normally, by the time I get 3 or 4 months in, my list is about half of what it was when it began. So it would not cost me nearly $450 because I'm actively working my leads on the phone, through referrals, through research as well. All right. So just wanted to clarify that here real quick. Kendra, I saw your message a while ago. Please forgive me for taking so long. You said that you made the cardinal mistake of sending out a net sheet and CMA before your first meeting with a decedent's kid. Then you asked, when you get a lead, what is your script or method for taking that listing? So generally, a lot of people, and I bet Kelly's got some stuff here as well. What's the first thing someone wants to know when they call you about selling their house, right? Kelly, what is that?
Price and commission.
Right.
Very first 2 questions.
And do you discuss price and commission on the phone?
No.
No. So how do you get around that?
Mr. Seller, I am more than happy to give you a price for your house, but, unfortunately, I've never been in that house. It'd be kind of weird if I had, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I need to go ahead and set up an appointment to see the house in person. I'll be able to give you more accurate values. I'll be able to bring comps and give you everything you need that day. Does Thursday at 4 or Friday at 6 work better?
Great. Now, what if they push you on how much it depends. How much do you charge? What do you say?
Mister, the wonderful thing about my team here is that we actually have a tier structure commission. So you actually get to choose what commission you want to pay.
I love it. Yes. Same. Listing menus, guys, tiered structure commissions lets you get around that question really easily. So I'm glad to hear that, Kelly, that you're doing a tiered structure as well. Awesome. Hopefully that helped, Kendra. Kathy asked if we could show an example of the leads that we send. Kathy, I am going to defer that over to our support or sales team. They would be happy to do that. If you are in our system, please look out for a phone call probably today from someone that can show you the lead list and how those leads come out to you. But there's personal representative information, decedent information. There's a decedent last note address, personal representative address, and typically between 2 and 4 additional heirs with phone numbers. There's more information as well, but you have a lot of contact information for each lead.
Hey, Bruce, it's also to know that we don't just send it out to you in a spreadsheet. You need to talk about how they get it. You can download it, but talk about the CRM side of it real quick.
It comes in a CRM that will be updated very soon. So it comes in a CRM where you can keep your own notes. You can set your own follow-ups. You can move people into different stages. You can give yourself reminders. There's so many different things that you can do inside the CRM. And one of the best things, and I'm tired of teasing this, I promise it's really soon. The new CRM that's coming in very soon is going to be amazing. It's got to be one of the most powerful CRM tools that you guys have seen. Those of you that like CRMs, you're going to love this one. Tim, do you want to say anything more about the CRM or more?
I think what's important to know is that we don't just, it is a system. We teach you to use a system, and our CRM is designed to help you facilitate your mailings, to help you facilitate all the follow-up that you're doing, and basically tie back to the website that you have, which all your mail needs to tie to as well, so that you're touching all the bases. You're giving people a solid, credible look at why you're the right person. Just like your buddy there, coming out, you're the probate expert. We're doing everything we can to make you be that probate expert. And we give you a system to do that. So, the leads themselves, you appropriately said, it's the information on the PR, the decedent, and the attorney, and phone numbers to be able to contact both the attorney and the PR and email if we have it. But more importantly, that's just a part of the puzzle. It's not all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Terrence, I believe that I understand your chatted in question, how much would you spend on joint tenants in common with multiple people on the title? If this is probate, you're going to be mailing the personal representative. If it's probate, I'm not going to mail everyone else. I'm going to be mailing the personal representative. So I'm really not going to add to that spend. Now, if you're dealing with pre-probate, you don't know who that personal representative is, what you might do is mail everyone. So it could definitely add to your mail cost if it's pre-probate. But for probate, I'm only mailing the personal representative, so it's really not adding to that cost.
Yeah, and I think Terrence was talking about how much time to spend.
Time. Chuck, go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really an opportunity. I mean, I would put the same amount of time as pursuing any other prospect or any other lead. And then once you have somebody that's interested, I mean, we want to pursue and definitely help that person, pass them along if in fact, maybe it's not going to be as beneficial of an opportunity. If in fact, the other two tenants in common don't want to sell, then at that point, that's when we can break it off. But we want to make sure that we don't drop the baton. We're able to help the prospect or the client get the information, the answer, the help that they need to get to where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also,
Love it.
Point out that we don't just force people to do just letters. You also can intersperse that with less expensive mail. You can do a postcard just to keep your name in front of somebody. And a lot of people who are working pre-probate, they literally postcard everybody on the list, and then once they've identified who the best person is to talk to, or maybe the best people to talk to, then they add some higher value mailing pieces to those people. And we can help you with all that. It's just, all those are available to you. It's not a flat, one size fits all. We try to work with you to customize your program. And we're running out of time, so go ahead. It's 2:00.
Okay, I have 3 hands up. If you guys would go quickly, let me go to Douglas first. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Douglas. How are you?
Doing well, everybody. Thank you, Bruce. I'll be real quick. Kelly, first of all, I want to thank you for saying come from contribution. It really works. It's just, it really works. And as you guys know, I've made a few contacts, less than 20. And in less than 20 contacts, I have a woman with a portfolio, 2 large pieces of property, the most beautiful flip in Bellevue I've ever seen, and an apartment building. That's just one. Another person I met last week has his grandmother's home. Best flip I've ever seen. He's working with me. I've created a BPO and a structure so an investor can see what they're going to make, what it's worth in its current condition, what they'll make on the flip, and I've already found 3 buyers for it. And then I told you about that woman who had a vacant piece of land that was zoned for 160 townhomes. Before I got on this call, I was on the phone with her, and we've decided to move forward with using the equity of the property to create the permits and the subplats and sell to a national builder, because there's 2 in the area that are very active. Rather than walking away with the $1.5 million that she's offered from everyone else, she's going to walk away with millions.
And Doug, you're going to, instead of walking away with 1 listing, you're going to walk away with 160, it sounds like.
That's correct. And this is on less than 20 phone calls. And you guys, I'm just getting started. All I've done is taken the prospecting mastery class. Wait till I start incorporating everything else. Thank you so much.
Wow.
And anybody who's new on the call, take the prospecting mastery. I've been in sales for 10 years, seriously, with several different coaches. Bruce's course is the best I've ever experienced.
Hey, Bruce, you need to quote the upper end of the conversion rate, because it sounds like he's at about 8,000%. 20 leads, 160 deals.
Yeah, I quote the low end of the conversion rate for everyone. When everybody hears 1.5 to 3.5%, you guys should know that is absolutely the low end of the conversion rate for many people here. There are those of you on this call that won't ever sniff 1.5% because you won't do the work. If I'm calling you out and making you feel bad, do something about it. Do the work. Do the work. But if you do the work, you follow the system, you put in the time, you mail, 1.5 to 3.5 can be a drop in the bucket compared to what you can get out of this lead source. David next, but really quickly, Lisa, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Number 1, Winston Covington's on here. Winston, I don't want you to unmute yourself. I want you, anyone that can see Winston on the screen, Winston, your first piece of business came off of, you got one piece of business and it came off of how many phone calls? Hold a finger up on how many phone calls it took to get that first piece of business. And if you can't see, my question should have, my directive to Winston should have gave you a hint. One. So do the work, it works. Lisa had asked, about 70% of your phone numbers are on the do not call list. You assume that we are not calling those. And I'm going to tell you, we do show you guys who is on the do not call list. How you personally choose to handle that inside of your business is up to you. I, as an All the Leads representative and a coach, I am not going to tell you what I personally do because I don't want you to get mad at me. Okay. All right. How many
Conversations lead to deals.
Conversations lead to deals. Okay. We give you the do not call list because you need to make that decision on your own, and you need to be aware of what could happen, what the risk is. You also need to be prepared and aware of what the risk is of not having conversations. So make the decision yourself. I hate to give you such a flippant answer, but it's kind of the way it has to be. All right.
Bruce, I always try to keep in mind, these are people that agreed to be the executor that said, I'm the person to contact if you need information. So factor that in also.
Yep.
Moving on.
David Bell, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I wanted to say that, so I'm currently a full-time mobile home specialist. I'm just selling mobile homes in parks. And I've been full-time going on 3 years, and I'm trying to hit like I would say like a certain amount of profit each year, but I'm struggling to even get to 50,000 a year, just being honest. So I wanted to start probates, and my question is, what's the average spread that people usually get once they close a probate property?
So let's talk about when you be closing these as an agent or as a wholesaler, investor. What are you looking at?
I would say wholesaler / investor, I guess.
Wholesaler. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got people that say, and it kind of depends on where you are in the country, but we've got multiple people that say about $15,000 is the average profit on a wholesale deal with probate. It could be less, it could be more. It depends on your model, but it could certainly be more. Are you also licensed?
No, because so in the state of New Jersey, the mobile homes in the parks, they're considered personal property. So technically you don't really need a real estate license because it's not considered real estate.
Okay. I would encourage you to think about a license and linking with a broker and offering people the option of writing an offer on their house and giving them a listing offer as well. That's just my encouragement, because you're gonna cut out a lot of people that do want top dollar for their property that they've inherited. Now there are a lot of people that just want to be done with it, so you need to be aware of that you've got those people that you can sign contracts with. But I don't want you to lose at least 50% that want top dollar. Because you don't have a license. So either get a license or partner up with someone who has a license that you can turn some of those referral opportunities over to for listings.
And David, my top 10 investment deals have all been probates. So highest profitability. Courtney, he mentioned before, he was on maybe a month or so ago, $25,000 assignment fee. I think that's what he just kind of described when he talked earlier on this call. He's in at 175. He's got folks looking at the 200 range. So looking again at around, 25, but it's going to be dependent on your skills. It's going to depend on the situation. It's absolutely going to depend on the product and where it's at.
Okay.
I want to add one other thing. If you're working a mobile home park and you're in park and you're doing that, you need to make sure that everybody in the park, if you take probate on and you learn the ins and outs of probate, you've got a very, very good market right there from people within the park who typically, if you become known as a person in the park that can help them with probate, in particular with a family law attorney that can help them get their act together in terms of inheritance and all that, you're in a fertile ground for finding customers right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I appreciate that. I definitely. I wanted to also ask I was going to ask the guy Courtney that Chuck had mentioned. Is he licensed?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna work on that though.
We're trying to influence him for sure.
Okay.
Get the last guy out there, buddy.
All right, David Cordero, how are you? It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. So I guess I want to give a shout out to all the leads. I closed my very first all the leads deal. And boy, it was a long time coming. And I wasn't consistent. I wasn't the A student. I would be like the D+ student in all the leads. And I ended up getting a call about 8 months ago, and I had a decent conversation. I didn't think anything of it. And then she called me out of the blue. We went, I locked it up in escrow, and then we came into a whole nother situation that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would imagine. In the state of Hawaii, they wouldn't insure an estate property without a court order. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, well, anyway, I talked to Bruce, and anyway, I made tons of phone calls, and I eventually found someone in the state of Hawaii to insure the deal, and we closed. So, and it was about a $1.5 million escrow.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bruce, all the leads.
Yeah, that was a journey finding an attorney that would ensure that. And you so this is an example, guys. This is what we're here for. David had asked that question on a mastermind call month ago, something around a month ago, and I'd given the wrong answer. And we fixed it. So given the wrong answer, we have a lot of people here with a lot of experience and a lot of connections around the country. I may be wrong, but I think David also asked in the mastermind group. I talked to an attorney of mine, and we were able to finally narrow in on the answer. Once we had the answer, David knew who he needed to go talk to. So if you guys are ever stumped, come in here and ask. If we can't answer the question, or I boneheadedly give the wrong answer, we will get it fixed.
All right. Thank you so much, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Jim. All right. One of our longest calls ever. What a contrast. You know, you can get a great ROI like Kelly in 3 months, or you can wait 8 months like David. David, your $1.5 million deal, I assume you still had a pretty good ROI, even though it's only one deal. So hopefully both of you will be a little closer to Kelly's end than David's. But
yeah, but David's end's good, and David's going to fix that.
Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank Kelly so much. Very inspiring, great information. I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to thank everybody who was here. And I want to challenge you to take one great idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.